microphone here, and as you can tell, it's too loud. Anyway, cracking on. What's this one about? This one is about ignoring your instinct. Right, let me give you a quick update on my week, and then I'll go on to ignoring your instinct. So this week's been not too great for me, really. Not too bad, though. I had a bit of a lull. I had a bit of a depressive moment, and it lasted a few days. Came out of it, and I've been okay, I guess. I've been doing lots of work, which is good. I managed to cut my hair and stuff, which is good. All wins, but what I've been really struggling to do is leave the fucking house. So I didn't go to football training. Pre-season training started this week, which has been really good for me to get the exercise. Twice I've missed that. And also the mind group I didn't go to. So that video last week about hitting reset and the importance of hitting reset and all of that, I just let myself down really this week. But one thing I am going to say is, you know, like, I've not berated myself too much about it. These things happen, and I've got quite good at not being too harsh on myself for those things. Like, you go when you go. You go if you can go. You go if you can. You go if you feel up for it. You go if you've got that little bit of energy that pushes you through the door. If it doesn't, don't berate yourself for it, you know, just try and go next week. Like, try and get the drive to, you know, work towards something else, you know, baby steps. Like for me, I'll show you my little, sorry, that might have been a bit annoying for the mic. This is my list sheet. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little bit crazy. It's about 6 weeks worth of stuff, and I'm on to week 5 at the moment. This is the week I'm on. And it's very satisfying crossing things off. So although I didn't necessarily go to those things, I did get a lot of stuff crossed off my list, which is very satisfying and does help with my anxiety and makes me feel a little bit better about myself, despite not being able to have the motivation to get out and go. So as much as I'm like, oh, hit reset, do this, do that, sometimes you can't, and that's okay. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Don't berate yourself for it. These things happen, all right? I also went to the mental health nurse, which I think I may have spoken to you about last week. Yeah, I think I did. I haven't actually done any of that shit. I haven't done the emergency box. I haven't self-referred myself for any therapy, which I'm supposed to have done. Oh, I must do that today. I'm going to do that today. That I'm going to do today. If you don't start the process of helping yourself, it takes longer. You know, I'm already going to be on a waiting list. So, in fact, I'm going to write that down. Right, that's that boxed off. So anyway, yeah, where were we? So, ignoring your instinct.
What are you on about, mate? You should trust your instinct.
Yeah, maybe you should. Not me. Or many of you out there. Because anxiety, in my opinion, gives you a bit of a weird instinct. It gives you a jaded instinct. It's not quite the same as when you're firing on all cylinders and everything's kind of working well.
Your instinct's your instinct, mate.
No, it's not. This is the point, okay? I'm going to post a link either in the video here or in the description below. I'm not sure where I can. I've not got really used to doing all these little links and shit. But basically, I watched a video by a guy called Bowden, who ironically directed me at drama school. So when I saw him coming off, I was like, oh, there's Mark. I'll have a watch of this. And he's now a like TEDx kind of talker and keynote speaker and an expert on body language, something I have quite a lot of interest in. And he said something very interesting, which is what has inspired this video, which is don't be authentic.
Hang on a minute, mate. You're telling people to do the opposite of everything they've been told to do their entire life.
Exactly. So this is the point. Basically, we all like, oh, you must be real, must be authentic, be real, be authentic. That's hard, especially when your authentic self is a bit of a dick. And mine is. Like, I think most people are cocks. You know, even if they're not, but like, I judge them very quickly. I judge most people very quickly. And then like to tell people, oh, I don't judge people. Well, we all do. And one of the things in this video that if you do go back and watch it, Mark says is that there's probably no point watching it now because I'm going to give you the... Actually, no, do watch it. It's very interesting and he delivers it much better than I'm about to. But there's 4 types of people, or we all categorize people into 4 categories as soon as we meet them. Friend, enemy, person that we want to have sex with, or indifferent. And 90% of the people we meet, we're indifferent about. We see them in the street, we don't think anything, we're just indifferent, we don't remember them. Friends we kind of remember, enemies we remember, and sexual, or people we want to have sex with, we remember. All of you will have already made that opinion of me with a second you saw me. Now, I hate to say this, and this is a little bit arrogant, but I very rarely fall into the indifferent category for some reason, and I would much prefer to fall in the indifferent category. I mainly fall into enemy or friend, and I would say, you know, like it's probably 80%, like 40% enemy, 40% friend, and then 20% the other ones. You know, I've been called Marmite a lot in my life. I'm either loved or hated, and it can be quite difficult. That's because I am someone who is themselves all the time, and that creates a very specific opinion. People either like that or they dislike that. There's no kind of in between. And what I've found is that's affected me getting jobs, it's affected me keeping friends, it's affected many things in my life. it's not about lying to yourself or not being true to yourself, but it's about looking at society and how it works and thinking, is me being authentic going to benefit myself and everybody else around me? But most importantly right now, we're going to need to be a bit selfish because we've got these mental health issues. How's it going to impact me? For instance, if someone walks in and I don't like them, if I was my authentic self, I'd be like, you're a dickhead. I don't do that. So therefore you need to think about maybe taking that application to other parts of your life, like, smiling at people. Hey, you all right? Raise the eyebrows. As soon as you raise the eyebrows, people think, oh, he's a friend. If I don't raise my eyebrows, hey, you all right? People think, weird, probably an enemy. And, we have these automatic instincts, fight, flight, or freeze, which are based on anxieties. And the fight, flight, or freeze will all kick in if an enemy's there. And if you're indifferent, no. If you like this friend, then you actually get close to them and you want to be near them. And that's why I live on my own. This is quite a complex thing, and your instinct is telling you to do things all of the time, and naturally, I'll be straight with you, my instinct has told me to jump off a fucking platform on the tube before, but I didn't listen to it because I knew it was talking shit. And sometimes we know our instinct's talking shit and we ignore it, but it does go, oh, do that, like, this is harsh, but yeah, when people are eating crisps on a train, I get an urge to just throat punch them, and that's bad. And then, I'm being open about this. I'm open about this with everybody who I speak to about it, because it's not good. It really isn't good having these things, these feelings and thoughts. But they're your instincts. And actually, if you don't ignore some of them, you're going to end up in prison. So we do naturally ignore our instincts. But when we have this kind of thing in society, it's like, oh, trust your instinct, go with your instinct. It's dangerous, that, for me. I think you need to involve logic. You need to involve rationale. You need to involve all of these things. And equally, you do want to be authentic to an extent, like, don't just be fake for the sake of making other people's lives easier, for instance. It's about how you feel and what's going to give you anxiety and what's going to make your life easier or more difficult. Because if something's going to give you anxiety, don't do it. All right, here's an example. 2 guys walked out into the middle of the road yesterday when I was driving down the road about 30 miles an hour. They knew full well. They knew exactly what was going on. My instinct wasn't to slow down, but was to speed up, because I just thought, dickheads, what are you fucking doing? Get out of my fucking way. That's anxiety. That's anger. That's frustration at those idiots walking out in front of me. I got angry, and fight, flight, or freeze kicked in. And fight was the first instinct, to just fucking run those pricks over, send them up in the air, and hopefully they land on their heads.
Whoa, mate, that's not cool.
I know. Hence the feckin' video. That's the point I'm making. You've got to ignore your instincts sometimes. Actually, if anything, in my case, always ignore it. Get some rationale and some logic. Put that in with the instinct and you'll get a fair opinion. Which, luckily, happens sometimes at a very quick rate. So when my foot went to push down on the accelerator, what my brain did went,
no, dickhead, don't be doing that. You're going to end up in prison.
So, I actually didn't slow down, but I also didn't speed up. And what my hands then did was go. So I moved around them and scared the living daylights out of them.
Mate, are you proud of that?
A little bit. And they probably won't do that. And probably, it'll be safer for other drivers in the future, because they won't be walking out into the road because they might think, oh, that guy might hit me next time.
I know, but mate, you're coming across to these people is a little bit weird.
I know, but I'm just trying to be honest, because honesty is the best policy.
Yeah, but maybe what you should do is listen to what you're saying and ignore your instincts to tell these people that you almost ran some people over.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. I won't, because I think it's important that these things, I didn't run him over, because obviously my non-primitive brain kicked in and my non-monkey brain won, and my Homo sapien brain managed to overpower my instinct. And you've got to try and engage with that Homo sapiens brain more often, because the primitive brain, in fact, the primitive brain is the part that's the dickhead, I'm afraid, in my case. I mean, I've gone on a little bit. I've gone on a lot today. I've really dragged this one on because I think it's quite important, and I wanted to give you some examples of where my instinct has been a prick, and I've had to kind of combat it. It's a very complex issue, this. Basically, ignore your instinct and let rationale and logic come in and listen to those. If you've got no rationale or logic, don't listen to your instinct. Just listen to nothing and just take a step back. Maybe speak to a friend, speak to somebody else. There are plenty of people out there whose instinct does do them good and is worth listening to. But sadly, if you suffer from anxiety and depression, your instinct is jaded. It's affected by your variables and the things in your life that are happening. So just be careful in following your instinct until you're in a place where you're happy and you're firing on all cylinders. And yeah, this one's a long one. Thanks for watching. I've been Marcus J. Richardson. This is My Brain's a Dickhead. Please subscribe and like and all that sort of stuff. For anyone who's lasted this long, well done. Bravo. Anyway, have a good weekend. Have a good week. I hope you're all well, people. And remember, it's okay to not be okay. If you need a chat, add me on Instagram at Marcus J. Richardson and Facebook. And to be honest, I might not reply straight away, but I am quite interactive and I will reply. Thanks for watching. Until next time.